Today's guest on the podcast is Xavier McLean. He's a Nashville native and a fairly new songwriter who just released a new song called Whippoorwill on Spotify under the artist name Quarter Black. He's one of the first people I met in town, and he introduced me to the open mic scene, telling me about pitch meeting and vinyl lounge, and he even encouraged me to sign up and get on these open mics, which led to me meeting a bunch of really cool people. I hope you enjoy this conversation with Xavier McLean, or Quarter Black.
Cable management, that's half of music right there. God.
Dude, I'm ashamed of all the spaghetti I've got laying around. Like, oh my God, dude, it's a mess. I really want to turn that space and that side of the living room into like shooting music videos and stuff, and doing that and incorporating that into the podcast and stuff.
Right.
And I know you were talking about having us do this kind of video shoot thing. How is that kind of, can you tell me more about that and how that's been going?
Yeah. So we're doing a podcast, me and my friend Trevor, Sounds of Nashville. And we've done a few rounds of it. We haven't started rolling out the videos yet. That should be coming soon. But we're doing it at this place called Our Spot in Gatlinburg. And it's what am I talking about? The freaking Civil War.
Oh,
site. No, yeah, Gallatin. Jeez, oh my gosh. Called Our Spot, and we had like 3 cameras, one like 2 fixed, one free.
Nice.
And yeah, we just had people go up on stage. We'd record them doing their 2-3 songs, and then we'd interview them afterwards. Very similar to like what radio stations do.
Yeah.
These days, kind of upload them to YouTube.
Yeah. Who'd you have involved with that?
In terms of like groups.
Yeah, like a crew.
Oh, the crew.
Yeah.
So it started out with Trevor and me to start, and then his our friend Jess, who's a live sound engineer that we've met through some of our open mic experiences.
Nice.
It was kind of just us 3 for the first 2 times. We've recently added on this guy Zach to do some more video, because he does the video for Pitch Lobby, actually.
Oh, word.
So and some other gigs around town. So we're kind of a loose coalition, we aren't like a really like well-formed team yet, because we're still pretty early on in this, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting process. At this point in time, we're just kind of getting people that we've met at open mics, people that we think are cool to come do it. We just kind of we were inspired, speaking of when we were talking about pitch meeting earlier, we were inspired by that message in places like Vinyl Lab, Vinyl Lounge.
Yeah.
Just like that whole like free music for the people, giving a platform to those who don't know how to start. I think we're all kind of sympathetic to that cause.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, man, it was really inspiring that night, that first night we met, actually. Like, we go from that open mic, and that was the first open mic I'd been to, and you told me about Vinyl Lab and Vinyl Lounge and pitch meeting, and I wouldn't have known about those things without you.
I was the one who introduced you to those 2.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, I would not have known about them, and like almost, pretty quickly got to go on and experience that, and that was pretty sick.
By the way, killed it. I gotta say, that was I was so excited when you went up, and man, you did not like waste that opportunity. You ripped. That was sick.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I mean, I need some more songs. Like, I want to go back.
Definitely.
But yeah, I mean, like, mainly a guitar player. I just kind of had that song in my back pocket for like, just for shits and gigs. But like,
right, you could just pick it up real quick.
Yeah. But
blues and B, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that was fun, man. Yeah, that first open mic was so strange, but there was really, really cool people there, man. Like people from freaking UK and Canada.
Yeah.
Like it was kind of, you know, the first introduction I had to like, oh, this is how big Nashville is to other people. Like they're coming from all over the world to come to this open mic, like literally just to get on a stage in Nashville. Like,
For some reason,
yeah,
you know, that's so crazy to me having lived here, because since I wasn't involved in music and I was not 21, I never really had a reason to go downtown, save like, you know, special occasions. So I didn't really like, I always heard Music City, Music City. Oh, this person does music. This person knows this person. It's like, okay, cool. But now I get to see it, and that, like, I realize what a privilege it is to be here.
Yeah, right.
So many people, you know, work really hard to get here.
Yeah.
Just for a shot.
Yeah, right. Like no guarantees, nothing lined up, nothing.
Yeah.
They're just like making a pilgrimage out here.
It really
to
is.
just come see this thing, and it's like you really, like, you got on a plane, like you had no plans, you're just like, I'm just gonna go, you know. But I mean, that's kind of how we were. I mean, we didn't have anything lined up when we decided to move here, and like, you know, it's scary as hell, but it's also, it's just the truth. It's just the place to be. It just is a matter of fact. Like, you want more opportunities, they're out here. You got to go where it's at.
Exactly. You got to do that.
It's not coming to you.
No. It's kind of like going out to LA for film
or
whatever. It's
right.
You know, at some point it becomes inevitable, I guess. And my arrival at Nashville was more spiritual than physical, maybe. But I got there. I just had to start looking, you know, all the places that I just kind of gloss over. Like, okay, so it's not the Batman building or, you know, downtown. Then what even is this building for? You might as well knock it down. Now I'm like, oh, that's where the music thrives. Like, this is where it is.
Yeah.
It's cool being able to look at that.
Yeah. I'm sure as a local, you've got like a different relationship to like downtown and all that.
Yeah. Begrudging relationship at the moment. I do love the city I'm in. You know, I'm really glad that it's getting its time in the sun. It's it definitely could be, you know, I feel like, I don't want to go political. I'm just saying, like, I think that, you know, maybe it could be planned a little better. Like, it kind of feels like a lot of, like, you know, businessmen are just coming in, buying things up, and like just like driving up prices, but without any plan. It's like Nashville has this potential, but nobody really knows what it is. Not a lot of people are sitting down plotting it out. So I kind of like to think that we're in the space where we are kind of helping to plot it out, being the musicians. But it's also weird because it's very much an industry town at the same time.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen it change a lot. I mean, like, people tell me it's changed in just a couple of years, but like, you've been here, like,
I mean, traffic. That's the big thing, you know. At the end of the day, that's the only thing that you'll hear people complain about. Just a lot more traffic. I used to be able to get down to Nashville in like 10 minutes from my house. Not really much, as long as it wasn't right as work was getting out. Yeah. Now it's a lot more of a pain. Yeah. But I mean, hey, you know. Yeah. I'm happy that it is getting bigger.
Yeah, so. Dude, it's definitely having its time in the sun. It's like a huge moment. It's like, I didn't really remember any of my friends talking about going take their bachelorette party or their birthday party out to Nashville, and now it's like every party is coming out here, and it's just like, dang,
great. I mean, hey, it's fun to be in a place where a lot of people are flooding to, at the very least. And I can complain about plenty of things, be a stick in the mud, you know, back in my day, but it's good. Ultimately, it's a positive thing. Even if, you know, there are all these like kind of shifts to like, oh, we've got, you know, Nashville hot chicken now. It's like a branded thing. It's like, okay, I guess. Sure. I'll roll along with that if it means that I get to meet cool people
Yeah.
and I'm, where things are happening,
Yeah.
as you're saying. So
Yeah. 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 So
Nash Vegas.
yeah, Las Vegas. I saw you were doing like a little like song review kind of thing, album review kind of
Right.
thing. You're gonna keep this series up?
I think so. I have no idea what I'm doing with
Yeah.
social media. Everybody's like, as a musician, you got to keep those up. And I was like, what do I do? Because I don't
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
all I do is kind of focus on the actual making of the music. I
Yeah.
don't find myself to be that interesting of a person or to have like
Yeah.
a lot to bring. But with, TikTok, it's like, well, just think of something.
Yeah.
Like, kind of just do something. And so I kind of had a stash of vinyl around. And so I was like, maybe I'll just
Yeah.
do a little bit of that, see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I'll try to stay consistent with it for a while, but there's so many like music review things out there. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but hey, there's so many podcasts out there. There's so many.
This is true.
There's so many things out there, but like, it's what you add or bring. And I think that's what's exciting to me about like us and our position and just like people at the beginning of their career is like there's literally so many possibilities and so many there's so much room to grow in that area. So it's like we kind of have a bunch of untapped potential, and like you never know what's going to pop off. And like, yeah, I think being consistent is important just because like you don't want to quit something right before it pops off. Like you don't know when or how long it's going to take for it to pop off.
Mm-hmm.
But like at the same time, we're also young as shit. Like we can just try a bunch
Exactly.
of things.
We're so young.
We're young as
God.
fuck. And so that's another part of the potential. It's like, man, I'm glad I moved to this town now at this age. Like I'm going to be able to grow in this space and like really like who knows what's going to happen. Cause like, already in the short amount of time we've been here, the connections, it's like the roots are already growing. It's getting like planted and it just feels like I'm already more of a local than I was 6 months ago. And it's like everyone I meet's like, oh, I moved here 30 minutes ago. I'm like, oh, okay.
Gosh, you go to
I'm
some of those
local.
open mics and people are really saying that. They're like, I just got out of the car from California. It's like, oh my God. It's crazy.
Yeah, man. It's just like, man, so much untapped potential, so much potential. Right?
Yeah. And how is the podcast stuff going? I mean, it looks like you're doing well. I enjoy watching them, just saw Mason's episode.
Yeah.
Mason's a cool dude.
Yeah. It's been great, man. It's I've already gotten to talk to people that I just could not have imagined getting to talk to, like Josh Blaylock and Kent and
Man, can that dude play?
oh, wow. I mean, really, like
Seriously.
well, and just like their willingness to share their perspective and their willingness to come on and talk, and like I don't have crazy numbers or nothing, and they're just still just like, hey, like, and I think that's why I invested into this thing is like if it looks nice and it runs nicely, then people are gonna see the potential in it and they're gonna invest in it too, and they're gonna be willing to come on and see that I care about this thing, and that I'm serious about it, and that like. And if I stay consistent, like, who knows where it's going to be in 10 years or whatever. But it's exciting too, just that like it's already led to a gig here and there, and like, I can see that multiplying and really becoming its own thing. And right now it's not making money, but I think just being consistent with it, it's going to be very easy to take this as a product to go to somebody and be like, hey, I want to advertise your bar. I want to advertise your restaurant. Like, this is here to stay. Like, this is this is legit.
Well, you certainly got the format and infrastructure.
Yeah, right.
If that's a proper word,
yeah,
but
absolutely.
You can't see it, but they got a great setup here, and the quality shows through. And so, keep it up, man. You got it.
Thank you, man.
I know having a very famous musician in your presence really also boosts your stats.
Happy
to help.
No, but I think that's also like what this is going to be for is just like giving a platform to people I just enjoy hanging around and like, also to see that like it's also going to be like a little freaking journal of our own progress and like,
Yeah.
like I can look back, I'm like, yo, we were literally just shooting this on these little webcams, like, and we didn't really have anything going on. And one day we could both be like doing crazy stuff and just look back and like, yeah, we've been hanging since way back in the gap before we even did anything crazy.
Yeah, honestly, that's a really underrated thing, I think. The journaling aspect of doing like
Yeah.
video content. Most people are focused on just like gotta get the views,
Right.
they're so business driven. But like it's for me, I kind of need to journal in many aspects of my life to keep my head on straight.
Yeah.
I don't know, just like kind of analyze what my life, like to make sense of it. So like having these touchstones, like, oh yeah, like Pablo and I had that really great talk back then, and oh, that was right before I dropped that album. Oh wow, that's crazy. Like, it's like connects to so many things, and it's like, I don't know. It is a really, for me, like especially you can probably understand when editing, you appreciate that a lot more.
Yeah. I mean, it's a huge investment, and
It
like,
is.
it's a big long-term investment, but I'm also benefiting in the moment. But it's like to edit something and spend, your time and energy into something that's not really giving you the kind of returns that maybe you like, no, it could be giving you one day is, that's the long-term aspect of it is like I'm investing in this thing because I know that it can be something, but like, it's not making me rich and famous right now, but like it doesn't need to do that. It's already serving its own purposes in a smaller way.
Exactly.
Yeah. It is you have to, that's the commitment part to it is like you just have to like you have to keep doing it.
Don't you?
Don't
Gosh.
you, man? Gotta
Man.
keep on waking up, keep on getting out of bed.
Keep on getting up. Keep on keeping on.
Yeah, that's like it gets easier as you do it. The hard part is just you gotta keep on doing it.
I'm really bad with consistency, but I'm working on it.
Yeah.
So it is a, skill.
Yeah.
Like you have to practice and all that. And I'm just bad at the practicing part. I'll do it. I'm a burst, like sprint, whatever kind of guy. I'll do it for a little bit, really good, and then I'll just like kind of fizzle out.
I mean, I think that's a lot of people, and I think that's me too, honestly. And like, motivation is so hard to like keep up. So at this point, it's like I'm just trying to keep the pressure off myself, and like I'm glad and happy that I've been doing this consistently. But like, if I miss a week or something, I'm trying not to beat myself up. Like,
sure,
and just because if I start harassing myself about like needing to do this and needing to do that when no one's watching, then like it's gonna really discourage me whenever I fall off that horse. And it's like,
yeah, that's true.
I gotta just kind of like, this is just part of my journey, and I'm just gonna try and take it easy on myself as I navigate this thing, because there's tons of mess ups I have, like, the audio is kind of messed up in this one, or this or that, or I left the freaking machine running in the intro or whatever. But like, it's just, hopefully none of that will matter by the 600th episode.
Right.
It's like, that's the long-term aspect. Like, I just know this is something I'm committing to for a longer than I can be motivated within like my months or, weeks or something. Like, if I've committed to this idea that I'm going to do this thing over a long time, then I'm not going to really care about the little mess ups and be like so hung up, like, oh, should I even release this episode if it's got this mess up in it, it's got this error? But like, I'm like, one, no one's watching, and two, none of it will matter in 600 episodes.
No, definitely not.
hopefully.
You've got to do that stuff to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I kind of view it the same way with like when I work on an album. It's like some of these ideas I've been sitting on for a few years now.
Yeah.
And like I go through various stages of like hating or loving whatever I come up with. And you know, you don't always see the vision, and can feel unnatural, but as long as you're trying your best and you're, you know, like being authentic about it,
Yeah.
as much as that's a buzzword, but if you're authentic about it
Yeah.
and you're staking it on, I'm enjoying doing this,
Yeah.
I'm choosing to enjoy this process,
Yeah.
then it'll work out fine.
Yeah. I feel like
It'll be worth it.
I feel like it's infinitely harder with music. Like, you know, music's so much more personal. I guess podcasting's personal, but like
Sure.
the format's not like, you know, yeah, you know, you got to be a little vulnerable to do a podcast. You have to kind of put yourself out there, which is similar. But man, as a musician, when you identify so hard as a musician, like you can really get caught up in like, uh, is this authentic? Is this or that? And you know, you've got all these like mind games you play with yourself to overthink and overcomplicate the process and be like, oh, is this good enough? Is this good enough to put out? Like, you know, that's a hard thing. So even just starting the process is brave in some sense to like
Sure.
be like, yeah, I'm actually going to put out something that people are going to be able to judge me on and like that I, you know, represent. But hopefully if you do have that mindset of like, yeah, this is just one in a chain of things that I'm going to do in my life. Like this is not the last song I'm ever going to write.
Right.
So, you know, I'm going to have more swings at the bat. Like,
Right. Yeah.
you know, but it is tough. I mean, especially like me as someone who's really not been writing all that long and, or, you know, not been singing all that long to like, oh man, I put something out like that's permanent. It's like, oh
Yeah. That is kind of, it's easy to get in your head about that stuff, but ultimately, you said it best earlier. It's like, it doesn't matter. Nobody's going to care.
Yeah.
The little missteps. The way I see it is like, God, yeah, some of the first music I put out, ugh. I have trouble listening to it personally.
100%.
Granted, when you get close to something, it can be that way, but
yeah,
my kind of attitude has been, all right, I found peace by saying if it's really glaring to me, I can always like redo it.
yeah,
Like if I really want, I can just re-record it if it's really bothering me that much. Or I just make it a really good live number.
yeah,
You know, I try to think about things that way of like, you know, there's also like nothing has to be done or completed. It can be
yeah,
consistently like upkept and worked on
yeah,
and evolve.
yeah, yeah. I just need to get over myself sometimes, man.
We all do, don't we?
It's like, you know, like thankfully, maybe I don't like put all of my personal like worth on podcasting the same way I put it on music.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So it's like the podcast, I've already gotten over that hurdle of like, yeah, I'm doing it. Like people know I'm doing it. It's not like I have to prove to anyone I'm doing it, like whether they like it or not. But I don't know, music is just, it's something that like, man, if I'm bad at music, then like, what am I even worth? I'm a musician. What is it? How, you know, if I think that I'm a musician and I'm a bad musician, then like, must not be that good of a person. But
yeah, I hear what you're saying.
But no, I mean like, you know, I think everyone, especially I think musicians are sensitive to that in general. I think all artists are sensitive to how people perceive their work and like all that. But I think being in this community has already made it better. One, because I get to like be playing around the best musicians in the world, seeing what the best looks like, you know, inspires me to try and be better. And if I'm trying to be better, then I'm not going to worry so much as like, oh, like, you know, is this good or not? Now I know I'm trying my absolute best out here. Like I'm actually, and if I'm trying my best, then I'm not as insecure about like, am I reaching my potential? Because out here, coming out here and being surrounded by these cats is like, how do you not shoot for your potential when you're surrounded by people humbling you nonstop?
Yeah, and you'll never stop being humbled.
No.
I think the biggest consistent thing I've seen is like the pros. They're just like they've reached a state of letting go.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. Like we talk about these things we get hung up on, and I'm sure they still sometimes do, or definitely did, when they were coming up. But like learning to roll with it, I think is like the big superpower, and that's really what is a determining factor of success. Because how many people actually end up going to the studio, recording something and releasing it, or they start a podcast and they're consistent with it and they put it out. There's that barrier of entry of just doing it. Or even when we're talking about going to these open mics, the people we meet, the only barrier is that we go. I mean,
right. That's
you might go and Marty Schwartz might be at the bar
100%.
and he's just, nobody's talking to him.
Yeah.
And the only way to be there isn't to have some introduction or to know someone or to, you just have to be there.
Yeah.
And so just doing it is the hardest part and the biggest like way forward as well. And if you can, as you lose that like self-consciousness and accept the flow of it, you do more and therefore you go further. So
well said. I mean, it's true. It's just like, I mean, the bar is kind of low. Like there's a large amount of people that just don't go out and actually go after it. And go get it. And it's like,
hey, more for us.
Yeah. Well, and I think that releasing is probably a hard part of it too.
I just spilled water all over myself. I'm trying to be professional over here. Totally disrupted your train of thought. My bad.
I saw it out the corner of my eye. I was like, I hope the camera's not on him right now.
I'm like one of the worst like water drinkers ever in the history of man. I just can't. I always get it all over myself.
I sympathize with that, dude. I'm almost 24 years old and I still can't swallow right all the time. I'm like,
hey,
just
there's a joke there.
Just like why, anyway, not important. But this town is really just like it's fertile ground. It's all right here. If you want it, it's right there. You just got to go out and grab it,
Honestly,
but I'm excited for you, man. I'm excited to see that you're still right and you're keeping up and you're like you're creating. And a lot of people, probably are more creative than they think they are. And like
I think so.
And like for you to actually, just put stuff out there, it's exciting.
It's been exciting for me, and I think the way I see it is I have loved doing it. Ultimately, headaches and all, self-doubt and all, and if nothing comes of it, I'll still be proud on what I've done, and look fondly at the memories I made. So that's kind of my only motive with the whole music thing. Like, if I'm able to play live, consistently at some point, and a few people are like my music and think it's worthwhile, I'll be really happy. I don't need to like really make it to be happy with it. I can't even believe that I've done as much as I did. If you asked me 2 years ago, I was still focused on doing like film. I really thought I was going to do film. There is that part of me that still wants to do it, and I might do it one day.
Yeah, one day.
But for so long I sat with no forward motion on it. I was always like, I'm going to, and never did. And then I was kind of just like, well, I've always loved music. I just never thought of it as a, possible thing I could pursue. And then suddenly here I am, however many years later, and I'm doing it. I never thought I could. No one could have told me that, and I would have believed them. So you just, I don't know, just going along with it and doing what's fun and what seems right. And
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard. It's hard to hold on to these ideas and just bottle them up, and I mean, I think that's what's kind of been the most frustrating for me is like I've went into the studio with the guys almost a year ago,
Oh, yeah.
and still never released this stuff just because it was not very cohesive. It was very like just trying to figure out who I was musically, and it just feels bottled up. It feels like the moment's passed, like that moment's passed, and I just never got to release that and never got to put it out. And so I think it's gonna be coming out. I'm not even gonna put times on it or nothing because it's not really my primary focus to be like an artist right now.
Sure.
I'm just trying to be a hired gun.
Yeah.
But I do think that stuff needs to come out, and I want to get more comfortable releasing stuff regularly, even if it's not perfect.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's this idea that like you shouldn't rush original music, and like whenever we think about great records, we think about like, man, just perfection in the studio. Like, oh, these records sound amazing. The musicality is amazing. These songs are like kind of a step above just a song. Like it's art because it's a whole piece. It's a whole work, and like to try and compare yourself to that level all the time it feels impossible to try and make that in my home studio. Like I can't ever make a something that sounds as good as Motown Records or something like that out of my studio. But
unfortunately,
I would love the freedom to create and release seamlessly and quickly, and like just be very comfortable putting myself out there constantly and just not worrying so much about is this to the standards, especially living in Nashville. Like there's people with home studios that can make it sound like the record and make it sound like $1 million from their home studio. But like I'd love, even from my like, and I don't have like a beginner setup or nothing. I've got a decent setup, but just like to just put that setup to work, man, and just start releasing stuff, bro. I need to
seriously.
I need to just break free from all this mental holdup about like how good things need to be before you can put stuff out.
Especially in this age, like
Yeah.
honestly, like your music doesn't even have to be that good.
Yeah.
Dare I say? I'm not saying you personally. I'm just saying in general, people care more about your persona and personality.
Yeah.
That has its drawbacks, but it also has its, strengths. I mean, I think like, even if it is something that's just kind of like a release, you're getting it off your chest, if you still like kind of conveyed like through your, like when you're releasing it, like kind of conveyed to whoever follows you, like, hey, this is kind of where I was at, and this, just honest about like what you just talked about with your kind of like doubts about it, I think people would really like be receptive to that, and they would actually listen to it because you said that.
Yeah.
If you just release it and don't really say anything about it, it's not so much like, oh, that was a missed opportunity to make it a big record. It's like, no, that was a missed opportunity for me to like present myself as an artist and connect with people.
Yeah.
I think you've got a good head on your shoulders with it. I'd say, have the confidence to be like, yeah, maybe I will do better work. I probably will.
Yeah.
But I did this and I should be proud of it. And there is worthwhile aspects of it. So I'm going to give it a fair shake.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe I bet if I listened to it right now, I'd be like, Pablo, what are you talking about? Like, this is good.
Yeah, right.
I guarantee you. So I would say just do it.
Yeah. And when it's kind of like what you were saying earlier with the like, the barrier to entry is just going out and doing it. And like, there's tons of people out there who are putting out whatever kind of music, and they're just shameless enough, or just like
shameless is definitely a part of it.
But that's important. Like that is important. Like you want to be confident and just believe in yourself enough to put something out, and like, like their music is out because they didn't have that hold up, and like
Exactly.
I admire that, and so I'm aiming for that to start happening.
Exactly. You know, part of me also just embraced like I'm never gonna sound like those records that I cherish
Yeah.
unless I got in like a multi-million-dollar studio,
Yeah.
most likely.
Yeah.
So, or at least like a much better setup than I currently have access to.
Yeah.
So I've started to just kind of embrace what it sounds like
Yeah.
and to almost lean into like, okay, I'm not trying to make music that sounds like that pristine.
Yeah.
Like get into the low tech sound of things or like I don't know. One of my favorite artists is Ween,
Mhm.
and they're like relentless goofballs
Yeah.
about their music. And I'm not nearly as funny as them or anything, but I definitely try and inject that, sense into my stuff
Yeah.
of like, I'm gonna bring forth my humor. I'm gonna like have a good humor about the process.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, cause like we have our limitations, and if we embrace them, we can do something better. If we don't, they can limit us.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing I've done recently. I've just embraced those limitations. Like
Yeah.
it's not gonna sound like
Yeah.
the Beatles.
Yeah.
It's not gonna sound like
Yeah.
it's not gonna sound anywhere close to that. Nor will it ever be compared. Hopefully. I hope for the sake of music it's never compared.
Yeah.
But that's okay. And that doesn't mean I still don't have something to offer.
Yeah. Yeah. Mentioned Ween. Who were some other artists that you kind of take some inspiration from?
Yeah. I'm gonna skip like the big ones like the Beatles, Pink Floyd, and like
Sure.
those are kind of like
Yeah.
millions of people.
Obviously.
But recently I've been really into like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Mhm.
They're one of my favorite
Yeah.
current bands. I just more than anything I love their kind of approach to music. They really treat it like a 9 to 5,
Mm.
and they just they love what they do. They're all buddies, and they just create, and they don't care what anybody thinks.
Mm.
And they've just totally homegrown themselves into this pretty big international rock band. And so I try to take like that approach. They're a big one. I mentioned Ween. I love some Beck. I've been
Yeah.
listening to some Beck
Nice.
recently. Radiohead has crept into my.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, they're great. What can I say?
They're great.
I did kind of avoid them because I was like, oh god, it's that band. It's the band that everybody talks about.
Yeah.
But there's a reason.
Yeah.
Leah Senior, she's this cool Australian folk singer. Yeah, I don't know. I try to pull from all over,
Yeah.
and I'm very ingrained in like the pop sound of like the 60s or 70s. So I like any artists that are kind of like reminiscent of that.
Yeah.
No matter what period. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean Radiohead was one of the first bands that I listened to whenever I got like a car. I could finally play my own music and
yeah.
all that stuff, and like OK Computer
God.
was just like kind of blew my mind. Just I didn't really think about how records could be something that like I mean there's obviously I'd listened to music before, but I think it really sunk in that like they made a record that had more on there than they could really play live. Like they had more sounds on there that were just like it was like fantasy land. Like I mean the layers of sounds and the types of sounds were just so out of the box. And I was like, damn, I mean, this is a different level of creativity than the 60s or 70s with like
That's true.
What I was used to was like traditional classic rock. Like, I was just real square in my music tastes.
It's okay.
And
It's
it got me out there.
There you go.
Yeah.
I feel like you were saying about once you got your car,
Yeah.
you're blasting it. I feel like you're the same as me. Do you like just sometimes drive just to listen to music?
Yeah.
Gosh, my hearing is, I'm 25 years old and I already can't hear for anything worth anything because I just blast music in my car and
Yeah.
I'll escort my friends. I'll be like their personal Uber. I don't care. Like any opportunity to drive is big because that's really when I listen to music and I can really like just absolutely scream the lyrics along to it or just be bombarded by the sound.
Yeah.
Really feel it. You know?
Yeah. You gotta feel it in your chest.
Right.
Yeah.
You gotta hear the bass thumping.
Yeah. You been to any good live shows lately?
Oh man, lately.
Talking about feeling it.
Oh, I know I have, but
or maybe not even lately. Just that have been noteworthy.
Oh gosh, I caught Buddy Guy at the Ryman a few months back, and Kingfish Ingram opened for him.
Sick.
Couple other blues legends.
Oh, that's
new and old.
Sick.
And that was really cool. I love blues. I'm by no means like a big blues dude, but that was really special to see that. And gosh, I mean, the dude's in his 90s and he still can shred.
Whoa, holy shit!
Like he was walking around like absolutely shredding, and I'm just like, how?
Yeah,
like this dude, he existed before any of the influences that we probably have.
Yeah,
and he probably inspired like those players that we listen to. He just figured it out on his own without anybody else. He's just like, he was talking about, I think he may bring it up in all his shows, but he had a riff for one of his songs where he didn't want to forget it. And he was out working. And so he just he had his guitar on him, or he had a guitar nearby, and he just walked like the however many miles home on foot, just playing the little riff that he came up with over and over again so he wouldn't forget it. And it's like, holy crap. That's just that's the purest form of music in my opinion. Like nothing else, like none of the, having the tech is good. Having the equipment is cool and all. It can be liberating, but it also can get you further from what it's about. And he just had an idea that he was passionate about, and he used whatever means he could to remember that so he didn't forget it. And he ended up becoming one of the greatest, most influential blues rockers of all time. That's what it's all about ultimately. It's that personal connection you have with whatever sound you hear in your head, or with your instrument, or I don't know. I can't really say it much better. That's
dude, Buddy. I mean, that's source material. I mean, source code.
Source code. Honestly,
I mean, really, that's for real. One of the seeds to a ton of players and a ton of music, and
did not disappoint.
For him to still be around, I mean, that's crazy. It's like he survived so much, and then is just a time capsule.
He is. Seriously. And it was cool to see him next to the new guys like Kingfish. Gosh, got to give him a moment. Because holy crap. That he's probably I might say he's the best guitarist I've seen perform live. Period.
Snap.
He's insane. Got to check him out if you haven't. He's got some good music out. He's got plenty of amazing live performances you can watch. I knew about him when he was doing posting live clips on YouTube. And he did this cover of Redbone by Childish Gambino. Super bluesy, super cool. And I was like, oh, this guy's cool. And then I saw him when I went to Pilgrimage Fast in 2021, I saw there was a station for him. I was like, oh, I know Kingfish. And then he started playing around town, and he is someone to catch for real. He will knock your socks off.
dude. And then at the Ryman too. I just went to the Ryman for the first time for Shane Gillis,
Oh yeah.
and it was sick. But I guess I knew the Ryman was a church, but like I didn't realize, like, oh, this is like an old historic, like these pews are small as hell. Like,
Yeah, they're taking you to Sunday service for real.
like, bro, I mean, they're like, like one person in the row has to get out, the whole row has to get out, because it's like, this is like old. I mean, these things are bolted to the floor, like, tiny little pews, but like, yeah, I mean, it's historic. It's just a little piece of history. It's crazy.
It is. I will say, don't want to trash on the Ryman.
No.
The sound system.
Oh, see, I didn't see music there. So.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, the sound is not my favorite venue for sound, but I also give it a pass. It's historic. It's old. But
interesting.
I also saw Bob Dylan there on his last run through town, and yeah, I don't know. The mixing could be a little better. I've heard. Okay, I'm by no means like a snob or anything, but I've heard a lot of people that are like more highfalutin than me, I guess, talk about like how they don't like a lot of live sound in Nashville. Like they think most bars, most venues, like big or small, don't have good sound. Do you have any opinion on that?
Yeah, I maybe kind of know what they mean. I mean, sometimes I feel like the sound is great. I mean, like, I think pitch meeting sound is great.
Yeah, pitch meeting sound is great.
I think Inglewood Jam, Flamingo sounds great. These jam spots sound great. Sometimes when I'm on Broadway, I feel like I can't put my finger on why it's not hitting, but it's really because like there's so much music happening on top of each other. You can't really have like one band be like extremely loud.
Yeah.
So the levels are kind of like quiet in this weird way, and sometimes the drummers are either too loud or not loud enough, or like but point being, they can't really put the focus on one band to like really be blasting the whole street and like miking the whole kit and getting a kit to sound like a record, or getting the vocals to be this or that, like so I feel like there's definitely some sacrifices made on Broadway, and depending on what bar, maybe you're more isolated from other bands than not. So I guess it depends on the bar and stuff. But I do find that I'm not always like super into the mix, but then I kind of get used to it.
Yeah.
And it kind of wears off, but I'm just kind of like, yeah, something about this sounds weird or just sounds bad. Can't put my finger on it. Whether it's like, I'm a guitar player, so I need guitars. I need to feel the guitar.
Sure.
I need to feel like this band is cranked and they're just rocking. And sometimes the mixes can be a little weird, especially if you go to a Broadway bar and they have an electric drum kit. And that's like especially like, okay, this sound is like whack. I just, because I don't feel, I'm hearing the drums, but I don't feel the drums.
Yeah.
And it's just, it can be weird. And other venues, I think some big venues, I haven't experienced this in Nashville, but some big venues are just like maybe it wasn't really set up for live music or modern sound systems, and maybe like frequencies are building up in certain spots, and like it can just be a little boomy or not as clear as maybe other venues that are maybe designed to be music venues.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Muddy mixes are plenty. Yeah. But I didn't think about it that way. Yeah, it is kind of, there's this kind of model of like, oh, it's Music City. There's got to be like a stage and like a sound system so that people can play.
Yeah.
But like, you're right, not every building is ideal for it.
No, yeah. And I didn't realize that until I got into recording at home and stuff like that, because like my room each room has its own frequencies and acoustics that it favors or like, resists or whatever. And like to actually have a professional studio, there's architects, like studio engineers, or not studio builders, who know how to like make the angles of the room work to where you're not having buildups of certain frequencies and you're actually hearing the music come out of the speakers the way that it's going to sound when you print it to the record.
Right.
And like there's way more science into how a room affects the way you hear what's happening. So it's like for Nashville, I mean, they're playing music in Taco Bell. Like, I mean, they're playing
That's true.
they're playing music anywhere they can in this town. So obviously there wasn't like a ton of forethought about like, oh, this room's gonna have music in it. It's just like, no, we're putting music in it. We're
Right.
putting music in the Taco Bell whether you want it there or not. Like,
Oh my gosh.
whether it was designed for that or not. So I think that's kind of a lot of it.
By the way, that Taco Bell canteen is crazy.
I've really never even been inside. I've walked past it. I've seen the
Man, oh man, they pour strong drinks.
What?
Oh, so I don't know if you know this, but like it's like
Oh.
it's like one or two of the only like alcohol serving Taco Bells, at least in the area.
I didn't know they serve alcohol.
Yeah, so they just do like like their like Baja Blast slushies. They'll just spike them, and they put so much. Like it's not great tasting, but that's not the point. You don't go there for it to taste good. It's kind of general design principle of Taco Bell.
You don't go there for your health.
Hell no. Oh my
Dude.
gosh, that's so funny. That's true. I never even thought about like somebody just playing their little ballads in the corner while people are getting turned off these like spiked slushes. Oh man.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a cool town for that though. It is just like, it is Music City, which is like more is not always better. Like,
Right.
Like quantity over quality. But like,
Definitely a little of that.
yeah, but it also has the quality too. It's there.
Of course.
So it really is an amazing spot, man.
It is. Have you gone to Acme Feed and Seed?
Not
before?
yet.
Okay, so
I've heard they got
some
bands there.
great stuff there. I kind of brushed over it too until recently. My friend Bryce, he goes to the bi-weekly like Grateful Dead jams that they do here. They have this cover band that, I mean, they're amazing. I'm not even like a big Deadhead, but like they're so good. It doesn't even matter. And it's a free show. And they do a bunch of just free shows. It's a really nice, like old building. It's kind of more like a warehouse vibe.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh dang, there's so many places that will like, it feels like you have to pay to do anything nowadays. So like definitely check out Acme Feed and Seed.
Yeah,
it's a really good place.
I know like Ping Roses played there a bunch, and even Josh Blaylock said his old band used to play there.
Oh really?
So I'm like,
Nice.
I keep hearing Acme, like they've got some killers playing here that don't do the Broadway thing. They don't do like top 40 covers or whatever.
Right,
It's
yeah.
like, it's like real bands.
Which I like. I think that's good.
That's great.
We need more spots for
Yeah.
that, in my opinion. But
yeah, absolutely.
I definitely see more of a rise in more rock-based music coming up here. And personally, I'm down with that. I'm just saying, leave a little room for the alternative boys
Yeah.
and girls over here, like, please.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that's great because country is great and all.
Yeah.
Pop country, not so much my favorite. And I'm kind of glad that there's space for other things too.
Yeah. Yeah.
They definitely kind of tried to, I don't know. I just remember growing up and it's like, big green tractor playing and like, going down and everybody was singing the same like Florida Georgia Line cover.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad that era's maybe a little by the wayside.
Yeah. Man, they need like an indie alternative alley. Like they need a strip. They need a strip on Broadway where it can have the foot traffic and
Exactly.
and provide alternative music. That's why I love Printer's Alley so much. And
Printer's Alley is awesome.
It turns out I play the blues, so it works in my favor. But I mean, I don't see why they can't have more rock or like more genre specific strips that are
Yeah.
right next to, all this foot traffic.
Yeah, I think it's just going back to like, Nashville's still finding its identity. It's still trying to figure itself out. It's
Yeah.
just like everybody's doing their own individual thing,
Yeah.
whether at like a corporate level or
Yeah.
at our level.
Right.
And we just got to kind of like,
Mhm.
and I think it is already happening
Yeah.
of like everybody kind of collectively being like, all right, let's do this together a little more. Let's carve out what we want
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to letting it just happen for us.
Right.
So when you talk about the people coming from, the UK or Canada or
Yeah.
wherever around the world here, you got that influx of people. You got just like the limitless, the Californians, you got the limitless opportunities of just like the biggest growing city in the nation. Like those are catalysts for like, I think people are saying everybody's different and we want a space for everybody to do their own thing.
Yeah.
And just be truly music city, not country music city.
Yeah.
And I think that's good. That's how it should be.
Wow. That'd be kind of nuts. I mean, it's really it's getting invaded. It's getting like I don't want to say diluted in a
let's say melting pot.
Yeah, melting pot. Yeah, it's becoming bigger than I think it started out. It started out as, I guess, more country centered, and it still is pretty heavily country centered, but
sure.
But like, yeah, at some point you're just gonna have way too many people doing way too many different things other than country to not kind of like give into that and make this thing bigger than it ever intended to be.
Right. Exactly.
Like almost like a new Los Angeles, but like, I don't really know anything about Los Angeles, really. Like I've only heard things. I mean, really, I've only heard things, but
never been.
To me, it almost seems like an amusement park for media and for entertainment in general, I guess. And it seems like, Nashville could be an entertainment hotspot for all of these subcultures.
Yeah. I think LA is maybe a blueprint of what Nashville could be in the future. And from what I know, my limited knowledge, I've never been. So maybe I'm just talking out of my, ass. But I think that maybe if we steer a slightly different direction, it'd be good. So it's not just like a, kind of like a maybe trap for artists to go. Right. That would be ideal. Yeah. But I'm not the one who calls the shots, unfortunately.
I mean, it already seems like there's more of a community that is, a little bit more pick you up, in the sense that like we got pitch meeting and we have things like that are maybe a little bit more
That's true.
More accessible for people to get on stage where, and I don't know anything about LA, but I imagine, and maybe I've heard things about it being a little bit more gatekeepy and a little bit more like, cliquish. And Nashville's got, I guess, its own cliques too, but like,
naturally,
I guess the best possible outcome would be super independent and super like musician run groups of that can help artists develop and stuff that aren't super like big industry, aren't super like predatory or anything like that. And Hollywood and all that seems like, oh, this is like deep entrenched, like long industry paths that people sign up for and get just like shot down and like, trapped into and like sign their lives away and stuff, where it seems like there's just too much there's too much consciousness around like the internet and independence and how people do things on their own for that to how does that still happen? Like how does it happens because people are desperate and they need money and they sign things before they know what they're doing and
definitely
whatever. But like, if we have things like, I could just see something like pitch meeting being bigger and somehow like actually giving people the opportunity after the fact. Like pitch meeting is great, but like what happens after that? Like you get to meet some people and maybe something happens, but like, have you watched Kill Tony at all?
I have, yeah.
But just like to think like, oh, if someone was really amazing, like boom, here's a a chain of people that can give your career like all the next stepping stones to get right where you're trying to go. Like, you know, I'm going to put you on a stage in front of thousands of people in this festival. Like, here's a gig, like here's an opportunity, you know, that like pitch meeting's the audition almost. It's the stepping stone. It's the platform to get your, you know, stuff heard. And then once that happens, like, oh, we can actually like blow you up from here.
Yeah.
Like this is, you know, going to shine a light on the people who have nothing, and you don't need to sign anything. It's just shining a light on you. And it's just like, if your stuff speaks to people, here's the platform. Like, here it is. Like,
yeah,
here's the audience. Kill Tony does that. It's like, here's a million people. Like, here's your shot. Here's your opportunity.
Yeah.
You got it or you don't. And if you rock it, boom, that's a million fans that just, you know, subscribe to you.
Right. That's true. It would be nice if we had our own little musical Kill Tony. Hopefully Pitch can fill that spot.
Yeah. And I don't want to put all the pressure on Eric or anything like that.
That's
like,
true.
It's
not
ultimately
just his job.
Yeah. But I think like we as a community could develop something like that and just be that tight knit where, you know, people just kind of get discovered naturally. And I guess that's already happening in some way, but just, I don't know, just for people that aren't just country, for people that aren't just, you know, what the Nashville industry is already built for, you know? I think that's what I'd love to do with the Roost too, is like, you know, it's obviously doesn't have an audience yet, but if it ever did, to have bands on that, you know, are not the traditional cookie cutter Nashville vibe, you know?
Well, you're off to a good start, man.
Thank you.
You are, actually. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
I know we keep going back to pitch meeting because it's
just great.
It's a great thing. We really can't give it enough praise. And it was a good, it really kind of like it was the experience that helped me get my head on straight of like, oh, okay, this is what I gotta, what I need to expect. And this is how I start doing things. But speaking of them, Walker Burroughs.
Yeah.
When you were talking about live performances earlier, I remembered I've gone to a couple of Walker's shows and holy crap, that kid is talented.
Dude, I've one of the most talented people I've ever seen.
Seriously. And also just the nicest dude.
It's hilarious.
Possibly.
He's one of my favorite pitch meeting cast members. Like,
oh, yeah.
Dude, yeah, he's hilarious.
He's hilarious. He's kind of my brother in looks.
Yeah, you look your twin.
No, it was kind of funny.
Twin.
I was at one of his shows at the basement, and
the mustache.
Except the mustache. Yeah, no, I was at his basement show, and his mom kind of like it was there and kind of was like, you know, giving me the look of like, you kind of look like Walker. And then she introduced herself. I was like, oh man, Mom? No, but
clip that.
Honestly. But God, beyond just being like the best possible dude, he's just his voice, his playing, his band, all of them. The songwriting, like, yeah, me and my girlfriend, we make a point to go to his shows, and they never disappoint. Like, he's something special. Like, if for anybody that hasn't listened to him, you gotta check him out. Seriously.
Absolutely.
Just all about like he's doing music the right way for the right reason, you know. Absolutely. For real. So that was another really good live performance that I've seen. Performances. I'd love to see Josh play again soon. Does he play at the Flamingo?
Yeah, he's every now and then. He's not like not every time, but he's a regular there sometimes, and he plays at Flamingo. Sometimes he plays at Eastside Jam.
Eastside Jam, okay.
You know Eastside Jam?
I haven't been, but I know it.
Yeah, Inglewood Lounge on Sundays. Sundays like 9:30 to like 1 in the morning or whatever.
I gotta catch him playing again.
Yeah, Josh is great.
When he did that one and the last episode.
Yeah.
Of when he did that
pitch, huh?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did that solo,
Mhm.
and I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Very, very. I love music, and
Yeah.
I love loving music, but
Yeah.
very rarely have I been stopped in my tracks like, holy crap.
Yeah.
And then I talked to him afterwards. It's just like the nicest, most approachable.
Right.
What is it? That's literally the best thing. It's like it can't get better. You get someone who's really good,
Yeah.
like so talented at what they do, and then you meet them,
Yeah.
and they're this amazing person. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm rotten to the core in comparison to this person. I'm like, holy crap.
I think there's something about music and maybe art in general where it's like you can't get very far if you hold on to your your art, like your music that tightly, and you're like, this is mine, like I made this, like I'm great and this is all coming straight from me. Like obviously, like no, like that is flowing through Josh, and so I don't think he takes that much ownership on like, yeah, like this is all my greatness and like this is just for me. Like he's sharing that, and it's like, it's I think it's also just, well, I don't know. I can't speak for every musician who's ever been great or whatever, but I feel like your attitude changes the way that you like are able to even play with other people, and like you can be great without playing with other people, but the best musicians are going to get good because they've played with great musicians. And to learn from another musician, you have to be humble enough to like to soak up what they're giving you. So for someone like Josh to be that good, he got that good because he's played around some of the best musicians in the world and been humble enough to like learn from them and learn from everybody he's played with. And for him to be that good, it's like, damn, man, like he must have been just exposed to some crazy energy and some crazy people and just some like unbelievable talent. And he is unbelievable talent. He's giving that out to us now, and like now we're getting exposed to his talent. It's like, damn, like, yo, I mean, it's like he just kind of pushed the boundaries a little bit further in my mind as to like what things can sound like and be like and feel like. And it's like,
Yeah.
damn, I mean, I got to stand 5 feet away from him as he's playing, and it's like,
Yeah.
holy crap, I'm so inspired right now. It's
Seriously, that was a moment. I think about that all the time. He's one of a kind, seriously.
Yeah, man, he's so he's so freaking nice. It's like crazy, man. It's this town is so crazy for that you can watch someone 5 feet away from them. They'll blow your mind, and you get to talk to them, and they're like so happy to talk and help you, and it just humanizes everyone in this town, especially like someone like Marty Schwartz or whoever's got this crazy big following, and you come to this town, you're talking right to their face, and you're like, oh, you're just a dude.
Right.
Like,
they are just people.
I'm just a dude. I could do what you're doing one day if I just keep on being a dude. And I don't know, like
I'm a dude disguised as another dude.
But like, yeah, I mean, it's, like I was at Flamingo and Corey Wong's in the room, and I'm like,
holy crap, you saw Corey Wong?
Dude, I mean, literally,
no way.
Literally, the cover was $5 for the Flamingo. I literally got to watch Corey Wong and pretty much his whole band play at Flamingo for $5, basically. I was literally, I was sitting on the couch.
What are you talking about?
I was sitting on the same couch as Corey Wong, watching him play, and I'm like, what is happening right? I'm like, what the hell is happening right now? I can't even believe that, not that I'm gonna go run up and like, touch him. Oh my God, Corey Wong. But like, could I? Yeah, I could literally reach out and touch him. I'm like,
are you real? you gonna? Are you cardboard? Like what?
I mean, it's like, damn, that's just some Nashville shit. Like, that's
true.
People are here
for some reason.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't gotta understand it. Maybe
you gotta pick a spot. It's like we gotta pick a rendezvous.
Seriously. And it seems like, finding a spot like whether it's Flamingo or a pitch or whatever, you like increase chances of things like that happening. I'm not saying, go somewhere to just, scout out.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Talented or famous people, but
it could really be anywhere.
it could be anywhere. But I mean, like, you know, just it's crazy that simply by participating
Right.
in the local music scene,
Yeah.
you could meet some of the biggest people. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's crazy. I think I went to Justin Timberlake show beginning of the year, and apparently like one of Michael Jackson's producers was in the audience.
Oh, wow.
And like, you know, a ton of people. It's like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Like they have to go, they go to, you know, shows too. They have lives.
Right.
And it's just a matter of like where you're at, at what time, what conversations you strike up, and you could just, you know, you could be shining their shoes. I don't know. Like,
yeah.
It's pretty crazy, but
yeah, it's like meeting a mythological creature.
it really kind of is in a lot of ways. Like, are you you? Am I me?
This is happening?
Yeah. That's how I was with Marty Schwartz.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
And he's just like, all right, guy. All right. All right, run along now. In the nicest possible way. I was like, yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this turned into the gushing about artists hour. But
yeah, I mean, it's great, man. It's in pitch meetings. It's so inspirational. Like all of their artists, all of their guests are inspirational, and that's already a big service. You know, it's a big service to everyone who gets to go when it used to be free, especially.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope that one day it can return to that. I think I'm choosing to believe that that's just like, you know, that's the cost of them getting into the new place. And if that's the case, you know, I'll still, you know, fork over the occasional $12 because it's still.
Oh, I'm going tonight.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's Victor Wooten tonight.
That's tonight? I thought that was last two. Oh.
It's Victor Wooten tonight, bro. I have got to go. I mean,
I might have to do that.
It's probably going to be packed tonight because $15 to see Victor Wooten is easy money.
That's pretty crazy, actually. Yeah, I might have to do that.
Yeah, definitely do it.
You might see me at pitch meeting tonight.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, sick, man. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for us. I'm excited for all that Nashville's gonna become. Hopefully, maybe one day.
Me too.
It's already amazing, and I'm rooting for pitch meeting. You know, no matter what this like temporary weirdness is with the, you know, the different venues changing and stuff like that, I'm always gonna root for them because I know they got the right intentions, and they've already
for the right reasons.
They've already, you know, given me opportunity to meet and talk to people I couldn't have imagined to. So
absolutely.
But yeah, man, we'll definitely have to do this again sometime.
That'd be fun.
And I'd love to hear more about, you know, how stuff's going with your album as the process continues and all that.
Yeah. Oh, real quick, quick plug.
Yeah.
Is that the camera?
Yeah.
So I have a single coming out this Friday. At the time of this recording, it's the 26th, April 26th. Whippoorwill. It's the lead single for my album. That'll be coming out in July-ish, and there will be a single each month leading up to it. So, Quarter Black Band, if you want to check it out.
Hell yeah.
Had to stick it in there at the end, you know.
Thanks for coming, man.
Thank you. This is really fun.
Sick. Bye, everybody.